Mm, we should be live now. Hey guys, how you doing? It's been 8 days since the last live stream, and I figured I wanna make one more. But today, I'm not so much going to teach you something like phrases. Today, I'm just going to talk about the topic: when will I be fluent? Like, when will you, as a learner, be fluent? Because this seems to be a pretty big topic for a lot of you. You are asking, when will I reach this level? When will I be good? When will I be fluent? And I cannot give you a short answer. There's a lot of factors. There's a lot to be said here. I mean, I've been teaching for 5 years on Skype, and I've been making these videos for 7 years. I've seen it all. I've seen like low levels and high levels, people who worked hard, not so hard, people who had an unfair advantage. They're just good with languages by nature. So there's so much to say that I need to do a full live stream to really get into this. And there's a lot to say. So the question is, when will I be fluent? Well, first of all, you need to define what fluent or competent means to you. Does it mean that you are able to hold a normal conversation? Like you can talk to a Danish person and you feel okay about it? Or maybe just talk to a child? Does it mean that you can speak fast, like blah, 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 like a Danish speaker? Or does it mean that you know like all this advanced vocabulary and idioms and slang terms? Or does it mean that you can talk exactly like a Danish person? If it's the last one, that might be a challenge. But like there's a lot of things. So first of all, you need to find out how good you want to be, like how good you need to be. And this is for those of you who are really serious and who wants to know. But first of all, I need to ask you, what do you need Danish for? Like, is it for work? Is it because you're married to a Dane? Is it because you like Danish movies? I had a few students who really, really like Danish movies. And they were like, oh God, Thomas, I want to learn it because this movie was so cool and I want to understand the culture. And I'm like, okay, cool. So first of all, you need to know why. And I already made 2 videos about this before. They're kind of shallow because it's like a very deep topic, but you can get the basic idea from them. So you need to know why exactly. When you know why, it's more easy to, like it's easier to learn exactly what you need for that. Let's see. I have a bunch of notes for you here. Give me a second. And the other question is how soon you need to get to that level. Like, do you have a deadline? If you're getting married in 2 months and you need to speak at your wedding, you probably want to hurry. If you have a job interview, you also, want to kind of get your act together and really do it well. So it also depends how much time you have for that and how much of a rush you're in. Generally, I wouldn't say that you should rush. That's a bad thing for learning. But like, how soon do you have to be good? Do you have to be fluent or really good? And also, do you just need it for passing an exam? Is it just because you have an exam and you're like, well, if I pass this exam, I can get this permit to stay here, whatever. That's okay. I mean, I feel a little bit sad because I'm a native speaker and like a teacher, so I feel that maybe you're not so interested in the language itself. But okay, fair enough, if that's the reason. Maybe it's just an exam. So know why. Like, know why you're doing it and be honest with yourself if you actually enjoy the Danish language or if you just do it because you have to. Now, we're 4 minutes into this video and I have to actually answer the question, when will you be fluent? Well, these are the important factors. Your current Danish level. If you're a total beginner, you can expect a couple of years. Depends how much work you put in. But if you're a total beginner, expect it to take some time. Don't expect that you're going to be like really good in a month or 2 months or 4 months. Like, you can if you're really hardcore, if you just have a natural talent. But like, if you're a total beginner, it's going to take a while. If you're more of a like intermediate learner, then it's a lot easier because if you're intermediate, you already know a lot. You just need to add a little bit more and fix some mistakes. Maybe you have a fairly big vocabulary, but you need to fix some grammar mistakes here and there. So it depends on your current level. Like, the higher it is, obviously, the faster you're gonna get there because you're closer to that level. And because you're not struggling, you're not like, oh my God, this and that, and that. It's not confusing. You already fixed that. So the higher your current level is, the sooner you will get there, obviously. But what also matters, and this is a little bit unfair, I know, your native language. Because if it's English, okay, cool. If it's German, Swedish, Norwegian, maybe Icelandic, Dutch, you have an unfair advantage. And I'm sorry to say this because I know many of you don't speak those languages, but they will give you an unfair advantage. So if you speak Swedish and you want to learn Danish, it's like super easy, relatively speaking. Or Norwegian, super easy. German, also fairly easy. English, well, that English accent can be kind of annoying and funny sometimes, so there are things you need to be careful with. But some languages are closer to Danish than others. So if your native language is Spanish or Chinese or Russian, you're gonna have a harder time. And I know it's unfair. Like it's not your fault, it's not my fault either, it's just the way it is, okay? So like Danish is a little bit far away from you because it's not Germanic. Like your native language is not in the Germanic language family. So that's just something you have to accept. But maybe you're lucky, depending who you are. If you're native English speakers, you need to be careful with the vowels. Like in English, you would say like day or like howdy. Like you have these long sounds. We don't have that in Danish. Like a very common mistake I see is fødselsdag or fødselsdag. It's not like day, it's day. We only have one vowel, not day, just day. So like for native English speakers, that's a big issue. I see it all the time. Like these past 5 years that I've been teaching, I see it a lot. So that's something you want to pay attention to. And the R's. So you don't say like rah rah like how langordet, got racked guard. And like that's real American. They like Americans are saying like I'm not trying to make fun of Americans in particular, but it's like that's how it sounds to us. Like if you have a very English, especially North American English accent, that's just hilarious. So watch that. And if you're a native Spanish speaker, you need to watch that R. Like that, I can't even make it, although I should after living in Spain for 2 years. That sound, you don't want to make that in Danish. It sounds really, really funny. So watch out, okay? And focus on getting the R right, not the other sound. If you're a native Chinese speaker, and there's a lot of you I know, watch out with the tones. I know, I mean, those like 4 or 5 tones, they can really make it hard for you, or like Cantonese or any like in the kind of Chinese family. You don't want to take those with you into Danish because although it sounds cute, it makes it hard to understand you. Oh, also Thai, by the way. Thai, Vietnamese, I don't like any language that has tones. You have to be very careful how you pronounce words because although it's cute, it's not correct. And if you speak some Slavic language, like I know at least Polish, like you don't have the definite or indefinite particle, like the man or a man or like the thing, then you need to watch out when you're doing Danish grammar. So like there's a lot of things you need to watch out for depending what your native language is. So like those are just some factors, but there are more factors. Another one is that how many languages you already know and what those languages are. Again, like if you know many languages, you already know the process of kind of sucking at first, slowly getting better, feeling like a child because you can't express yourself, frustration, blah, blah, like the whole thing. You know it and you made peace with it. But if this is the first time you're learning a second language, you're like, God damn it, why it's so hard? Like there's probably going to be some resistance on your part and you're going to feel frustrated. You can overcome that with motivation and a lot of good materials, but you will feel some of it. Whereas if you're learning like your third or fourth language, it's like, oh, okay, it's a little bit hard, but you know, I'll get over it. Like, you know, you'll get through it. And I can say this because like I learned Japanese and Spanish, although Spanish not that well. And I remember in the beginning learning Japanese, I'm like, oh, this is so difficult. And then I got to Spanish, I'm like, okay, yeah, but it's easier than Japanese at least. So it also depends on what other languages you know and how much you're willing to push yourself, rather. So, and what those languages are. If they're close to Danish, of course, it's easier for you because you can like make some comparisons. If you already speak Dutch or German or Norwegian, it's going to be a lot easier than if you only speak, let's say, English and Russian or Arabic or something like that, because they're so far away. So that's a big factor. And the next point I have here is motivation. And this is always like, I kind of like talk about this, but I kind of don't, because it's going to be like a pep talk very quickly, like, oh, just do your best and believe in yourself. That's not enough, but it does help, of course, if you have some motivation and if you keep it in mind, like, oh, there's a reason why I'm doing this. Like, maybe I should focus on that. Maybe I shouldn't get so frustrated with like this particular point or that little thing that kind of fucks me over every now and then. Like, you want to, or fucks me up rather. Like, you want to focus on the good part. You want to focus on the goal because that's what's gonna keep you going. I know it's so basic, but you need to. Like, your motivation needs to be there. And then there's the other thing, like another factor, the time, energy, and money you invest. Now this, this is where it starts sucking because you don't want to invest, right? Like it's, you want to do it as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, and without spending any money and kind of just chilling with it. Well, time is really something you need to put into it. And I know this from experience, like teaching for 5 years, like I can tell that the students who study outside of the lessons, watch videos, my videos, other videos, get textbooks, do Duolingo, like all these materials, they learn the fastest, right? Because like they do the most. So you do that. The more time you put into it, the faster you learn. That's kind of the same as energy, actually. Like if you have the energy to do it, let's say you arrive, you're jet lagged, or you're tired, you're hungover, you're having a bad day, but if you still have the energy, it's gonna be so good for you. It's kind of like going to the gym, right? It's like when you can push through that resistance, then you'll get further. So time and energy set aside for it is super important. And then there's money. And money is something that nobody really likes to talk about because, like, I don't want to spend. Like, are you trying to take from me? Like, I know that's like the initial response. You're kind of skeptical when you hear that. Well, let me put it this way. When I was learning Japanese, I spent so much money relative to what I had on like books, and I never regretted it. Like, I wasn't like, oh no, that was a waste of money. That was bad. It's like, no, I was like glad I did it because all the energy I wasted on like looking for free pirated materials, which is also illegal by the way, or like, freebies or little samples. It's just kind of like, why? Why didn't I just get the materials right away? So I mean, that's a thing. Oh yeah, you're Korean. Yeah, Japanese is pretty easy for you. I believe that. But yeah, definitely, it's like you can make it go so much faster if you just invest in the necessary materials. Or maybe it's a teacher, or maybe it's a program, maybe it's a stay in Denmark, maybe you want to be an exchange student, and that's gonna cost money. It's like, stop trying to make it free. Like it's this idea that everything should be free and you're not gonna spend any money. That's, I'm sorry to say, guys, but that's naive. I know not everybody thinks like that, but some of you do, and that's also a bad belief to have. Same with time and energy. Like you gotta invest something into it. You can't just like have Danish, be blessed with Danish, like, yeah, oh now I'm fluent, like Neo in Matrix. It doesn't work like that. Okay, I'm a little bit harsh, but it's because I'm taking this seriously. So, this is a rant, but all of these factors that I just mentioned, they determine how fast you can learn. And I can't tell you how fast you will be or how soon you will be fluent or really good, but I can tell you that I've seen students go from total beginner to lower intermediate, in 4 months. It's like no time. I had one actually, I hadn't even been teaching her, like she started on her own with my videos and some other materials, I think. And in 4 months, she was like pretty good. And I'm like, wow, you don't even live in Denmark and you're that good? That's fucking impressive. So it really depends like how much energy you put into it again. And also, of course, if you have a natural talent for languages, if you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense, that makes sense. Oh yeah, I see the pattern. Great. If you do, awesome. I've had students like that, and I've also had students who don't have that talent. So that's kind of unfair, but just kind of know what type you are. Like if you're very mathematical and you want to set everything in a schedule, then do that. Then study grammar. It'll help you a lot. If you're more intuitive, maybe you want to like watch music videos and stuff because you kind of feel the language more. So you have to know what kind of type you are. Like there's no solution that's good for everybody. You want to do the thing that's right for you. And that's not the best answer. Like it's not what you want to hear, because I could sell a better answer like this will work for everybody, but it's not true. You want to do what works for you specifically. Because I've also seen students who, lived in Denmark for a long time and they moved at snail speed, like very slow progress, barely speaking basic Danish after living there for maybe 3 or 4 years. And I'm not saying this to be mean about it, but it's just like you could have gotten much better if you had either had a teacher, so that's a matter of luck also, or if you had like studied more. So it's a matter of doing these things. The speed, it depends, you know, your motivation, your energy, your native language, your general talent for learning languages, and all that. Oh, but by the way, if you don't have that talent, it's not an excuse, not an excuse not to learn, because sure you can do it, you just need a different way. Let's say you study well and you can keep the motivation going, then in 2 years you can get pretty far. Like I've had students who started with, I had this guy, he was like really basic in the beginning, and 2 years later we could talk about like politics and religion and relationships and stuff. I mean, it was awesome. So like you can get really far if you study like that. And also if you have fun with it. Like if you're only thinking about, oh, the finish line, the deadline, the goal, I mean, it's good. Like you want to keep it in mind, but you don't want to rush to it. You want to be like, that's my finish line, or that's my goal, and that's why I make this fun for myself. That's why I make this every day, or I do this every day. So like that's a real mindset, and yeah, that's a pep talk. I know, but it fucking works. I'm very passionate about it. So I mean, if you do that, and then like if you keep doing it after 3 years, you can be really confident. Like you can feel so good where you'll be talking to Danish people and you don't think about it anymore. You're not like, oh my god, now I'm speaking Danish. It's like you're just speaking a language. You just speak something you have in your mind. So like 3 years, yeah. If you put a lot of effort, watch videos and read books and have teachers and talk to kids, that's a great thing. Talk to kids, that's so good. I learned Japanese that way. But also talk to adults when you get to a higher level, of course. But like talk to kids in the beginning, or be an au pair or something. My ex-girlfriend was Japanese. She learned Danish in like, I think it was 7 months or something, because she was like taking care of little kids. It was awesome. You can learn so much from doing that. So yeah, of course, if you're really hardcore and you study a lot, then you can. I mean, if you're a total ninja, you can get to a high level in a year. Like if all you do is study, if you don't have a job, if you can just study all day long or like 2 hours every day, then you're insane or insanely lucky. And then you can like advance at a very quick pace. So that's great. But the common mistake is rushing to get there. Now you can study a lot, but if you're rushing and if you're like, oh, I don't like this part, skip it. I don't like this part, skip it. It's like, no, no, no. Like you want to deal with it all, like inversion or the Danish R, all those kind of things. Like you don't want to skip any of them. You don't want to think that, oh, you know, I'm just gonna, because this is kind of complicated. I'm making fun of it because it's a really bad attitude to have. So you don't want to like try to skip or try to rush. You can speed it up, but you don't want to rush. There's a difference there. Of course, the good attitude is making it fun, making the process fun. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know this is all about making it fun. I mean, the website even more. Like, you see these videos and you're like, this is just kind of crazy. Oh, but I'm actually picking up words from it because it's fun. So like, you're doing that, and maybe you also have like some Disney songs. Maybe you find The Lion King, because that's the best Disney movie ever. So you find The Lion King in Danish, and you're like, okay, you know, I'm picking up some stuff here and there. Because you're not thinking like, oh, I'm learning, I'm studying. No, it's not like that. You're just making it fun, and it has to be fun. Okay, it can be fun all the time, but it should be fun like 80% of the time. You know, watch some videos and listen to some Disney songs, and, you know, just make it a blast. So you gotta make it fun. That's absolutely key. And another common mistake is like looking for quick fixes. And this is so tricky, right? Because when I make videos, I'm always thinking like, okay, how can I make people watch this with the title? There's always an element of clickbait. But I don't want to like promise you things that I can't keep or that I can't deliver on. So if I say, let's fix your Danish in 10 minutes, not gonna happen. And also another thing is, if anybody tells you that they can fix your Danish in a very short time, don't listen to them. They're lying. They're selling you something. Sure, we can help you. We can really help you a lot. But like, you gotta combine materials, man. Like you gotta do Duolingo, you gotta get a teacher, you gotta talk to kids, you gotta listen to songs, like all of it. So don't think there's like a quick fix. It's not gonna be easy, it's not gonna be fast. And I mean, just talking to one person, just having a teacher and not doing anything besides that, not gonna work. And another thing that you really, really wanna avoid doing is only focusing on what you wanna learn. And this is gonna sound weird, because of course you wanna learn what you wanna learn, why shouldn't you? What I mean is that if you go online and you search, you're like, learn Danish phrases, learn basic Danish, or how to, you know, this grammar point in Danish. And that's fine, I get it. I mean, me with Spanish and Japanese, like I did the same thing in the beginning. The problem with that is, however, is that you only focus on that little point. So you're missing out a lot. You might be missing out a lot of vocabulary, a lot of cultural points, because sometimes you need to know the culture to understand the meaning of something. You have like this very narrow focus, and I can see it. I can see the most popular videos are 150 basic phrases, 100 verbs, 70 adverbs, whatever. Like, that's good, but you also just want to be taking everything in. Like, you want to watch everything you can. Some of it won't help you that much, but anything you put into your brain, I mean, some of it's gonna stick. If you have Danish radio playing in the background, some of it's gonna stick. Yeah, a lot of it won't, but you don't want to ignore teaching materials just because they're not exactly what you're looking for. Like, you want to be totally open, and let's be honest, there's not a lot of Danish teaching materials out there because it's a small language, it's a small market, and that's actually sad. But you want to be using anything, like whatever you can find, you want to be using it. Not only, the quick fix, but also that's. Mm, mm-hmm. Yeah, pronunciation can be tough, but we'll get to that later. So yeah, I mean, you don't want to have that. You want to have a good attitude where you just open, if it's music, movies, because you can build your vocabulary. Sure, it's not like an explosion of knowledge. It's not like, oh yeah, now I mastered this point because I watched Frozen in Danish. Hell yeah. It doesn't work that way. It's just a gradual thing where you slowly get more and more, and yeah, I don't know how to say it in any other way. It's just like really good. So you want to do everything you can. I mean, some of my best students, I'm not supposed to say that, but the students who learn the fastest were the ones who would learn all the time. Like, when they're taking the bus, they would look at something and be like, oh, that's pretty awesome. I'll write that down and ask Thomas about it, or any other native speaker. I mean, it's like, exactly, read Danish every day, watch DRDK, that's Danmarks Radio, in case some of you might not know that. Like, just do something every day, have fun and watch children's shows. But back to the point with the student, like, he would watch things and he would write things down. And I also had like this girl, she would be so curious. She's like, oh Thomas, I was watching Netflix. It was like English but Danish subtitles, and I saw this word and I don't get it. What is it? Like, this general curiosity. Curiosity is so good, like really, really good. You want to have it. You want to be curious about everything. Sure, some things are more important than others. And if you're a beginner, you don't need to know about like political terms or like chemistry or something. But if you see a word and you find it interesting, write it down and ask a native speaker about it, or just write it down and translate it. Like, general curiosity, because everything you learn is of value. Everything. And of course, this is a very long answer to the question, when will you be fluent? But the real answer to that is all the things you can do to speed up that process. Not rush, just speed up. So yeah, I mean, you will learn so much in general from doing that. And I will say, thank you for that. Cannot pronounce your name, but thank you for that. Learning phrases is overrated. Sure, you can watch phrase videos, and you should watch them. Mine and others, you should watch them. But they're not going to give you everything you need, because they're already built. Like, if you just take those and you go out, Duolingo is great. Use it. Not the only tool, but use it. What was I saying here? And I lost my train of thought. All right. Yeah, sure. So, like, it's good to have phrases, but it's kind of like, oh, you just copy what you see. You also need to make your own sentences. So what you really want to be doing, is have patterns. Let's take Aladdin, A Whole New World, that song. It says, et helt nyt liv. Right? Let's take that sentence. Et helt nyt liv means a whole new life. You can turn that into et helt nyt hus, totally new house, or et helt something else life. So you basically take the sentences that you like and you replace words. Of course, the grammar has to match, but you can do those exercises on your own. And this is way more useful, because phrases, well, they're popular for tourists, right? If you're a tourist, that's fine. But if you live in Denmark, it's not enough just to learn basic phrases. Like, you gotta learn actual patterns. That's the way to go. And that's actually how I learned Japanese as well. Like, I would have, just a little side note, like, I would have these things, actually I have a book somewhere here, where, let's see, this shit is so old. Like, I would just see something, and I'm like, okay, I get this sentence. Native Japanese speakers, you can probably understand this. I get this sentence, and I can replace two words, and then I make my own sentence. And you can do the same with Danish. You don't have to build it from scratch. You don't have to like worry about the grammar and all that. Sure, grammar is good and you should learn some of it. I'll focus on that in the future. But like, you want to just take a sentence and say, how can I manipulate this? How can I modify this a little bit because the phrase wants you to play with it. That sounds very dirty, but really, like, you can learn so much from that, and I wish that all of you take that advice because it's so powerful. It's very, very powerful. If there's anything else I need to touch upon, it's that I've heard some people say this, that, oh, you don't need to learn Danish because Danish people can speak English. Yeah, that's true. That's 100% true. We are pretty good at it, even with a Danish accent. The thing is that, though, if you live there, you don't have a lot of opportunities to make friends if you just speak English all the time. Because whenever there's a Danish group in front of you, they're gonna get tired of speaking English at some point. Sure, they can, but it's not what they would naturally do. So they'll just be like, come on, man, just learn Danish, okay? Like, we have patience, but you also got to realize that when you are there, they have some expectations that sooner or later you're gonna master Danish, at least to some extent. And also you can get more jobs if you speak Danish. So, like, it's just very powerful. Thank you very much, Miriam. Means a lot to me. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say today. I hope that I addressed most of your questions. They only show for a few seconds, so I might not catch all of them. But yeah, I mean, just, you'll be fluent, but like, it's gonna take some time, and do what's necessary. And if you're just joining us now, then you can watch this video soon. It'll be up on the website probably in 10 minutes or something, once it's been processed by YouTube. And yeah, right. So, like, just to recap, be honest about what you need, and put in the effort, invest. Don't be afraid to invest. Maybe it's not money. Yeah, maybe it's not money, maybe it's more a matter of time, maybe you don't think you have time. But on a final note, let me just say, if people have time to scroll Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all these places, TikTok, if you're very young, for cool content, then sure as hell you have like 10 or 20 minutes a day for learning Danish. And that's the truth. So I think that's it. There's nothing else to say. Very beautiful background there, you can see. It's a nice little garland. I was actually working on a new video today. That's gonna be great. So, thank you guys, and I will see you soon.